It's Wednesday, and the time is 17:54 hours p.m. in regular time. That's 5:54. Wherever you're at in the world, hopefully you're having a good day. If you had your day already, hopefully you had a great day. Some of you might be even just going to work right now. Make sure that you guys maintain situational awareness at all times. If you're watching this video at work, maybe on your lunch break, preferably you're on your lunch break, right? Make sure that you're not looking at the screen. And why is that? Well, number one, that screen has white light emitting from it, or blue light, whatever color you call it, and that illuminates your vital organs. Vital organs referring to your throat, neck. Just put your smart device, whatever it is, away. Just listen to the audio. In today's video, I wanted to discuss some trends in private security, and I have a solution to a huge issue. Hey, what's up, TB? So I've been talking to some people. I'm obviously not going to burn my sources, and we've talked about some incidents where private security guards, private security officers, private security personnel have been assaulted by like groups of more than two. And I do have some valuable input, but first let me kind of describe my success story so you guys know that I do have significant private security experience. I don't want to say the word never, but I've been very fortunate and blessed to avoid being group attacked as a private security officer. I came very close. And let me just discuss the context. 19 or 20 years old. I was working in Orange County area. I think it was Yorba Linda. Yeah, because Yorba Linda is a county area in Orange County. It's patrolled by the sheriff's department. So I was patrolling the count, and we had an HOA. And with the HOA, we had a very unsupportive HOA board. Like, they wouldn't enforce like some of the rules and regulations that security was trying to put into place. I don't know why, but they were pretty weak. So we always had issues of groups of teenagers, like congregating in the alleys and like blocking the roadways. I would say it's kind of like your own neighborhood gang. And what I would do is, I would tell them to leave, but sometimes they get a little bit mouthy. And I had this kid that single time mouthed off, and for some reason, like, I lost my cool, right? So he kept talking, and I told him to shut the fuck up, right? And I usually don't cuss on YouTube, but I'm saying this because it's significant. So what ended up happening was, if you tell somebody that, right, you're supposed to be professional, you tell somebody that, what's going to end up happening? Well, he repeated the same thing I did, and he started getting closer. And I got very fortunate that he kind of backed off. And I was like, well, you know what? At that point in time, I was thinking it was going way too far, because what's the overall outcome out of the situation? Well, I'm probably going to get jumped by a group of like 4 or 5 teenagers, and I'm probably going to resort to deadly force, right? I'm not going to, I don't think I'm going to be effective with a baton or pepper spray with a huge group of kids that are surrounding me. It would not be ideal. So I think what saved me is I actually took a step back, and I just stopped looking at him in the eye. We were kind of close, and then I just left. So I guess we were both able to save face, so to speak. And then that was it. And at that point in time, I told myself that I'm never going to lose cool again. And I'm going to be more cordial next time I approach. You see, I used the old, I guess, in-your-face academy methods. I don't know if I told you guys, but I used to be a police explorer for West Covina in the late late 90s, right? And they had like an Explorer Academy. They would always get in your face and yell at you, and it was basically, honestly, it was the equivalent of a basic police academy, because kids like 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 19-year-olds, they kind of don't have any limits when it comes down to discipline. They think that everybody can do 100 push-ups, right? So all this yelling, everything like that's a technique that I thought would be useful to de-escalate situations, right? And I hate to use that buzzword, de-escalate, but that's what I thought. And obviously, raising my voice, telling somebody to shut the F up, that's not a good de-escalation tool. So that's my experience. The only reason why I mentioned that experience is I don't want you guys to think that I'm lacking the experience and I haven't been in the same situations that you have. I mean, we have not been in the same situations. Nobody has been in the same situation. We've all been in maybe similar situations. So my suggestion, everybody, is to ask what your objective is, right? Whether this be like no trespass, whatever it is, what's your objective? Okay, you want them to leave. Now, you have to look at it from a broad perspective, right? Realistically, are you going to be able to remove a group of 10 people from your property all by yourself? Realistically. If there's like congregation in a certain area, realistically, are you going to be able to remove everybody? Now, you can always ask. And the guys, what I found is that when you ask people, it helps a lot. And then the next step from asking is what? It's telling, right? Then you tell somebody to do something. And then if you don't tell somebody to do something, you make them. How, as private security professionals, are we able to make somebody do something when there's a group of 5, a group of 4, a group of 7? I mean, is that even possible, right? And you could call backup. And if you work, like maybe you're a standing guard, you have a stationary account, and then along that account is like a patrol supervisor. You can always call them, right? And that would be backup. I mean, you're going to be stronger in pairs of 2. But realistically, like, you can't, going hands-on is not an option. Like, you're not the police, whereas the police can call mutual aid. They can call backup. They can deploy all type of different weapons that they have. I mean, it normally doesn't resort to that, but there's so many other options. And then ask yourself sometimes, is this really worth it? One of the cases I want to mention is basically you have a security guard who, he's very, I guess, motivated, right? He calls the police for everything. He is very proactive on his post. He's proactive on his post and off of his post. Very eager. The problem with engaging with people off the post is there's no insurance that's going to cover you. And this guy will constantly be making contact with people off the post. So what ends up happening is he's in some dark alley. He tells somebody, like, I don't know, I mean, the guy that he's telling to leave the property, he's in a public alley already. He's left the post, and he's telling him to leave the public area. So I see him with his pointer finger doing this, and all of a sudden, the suspect just clocks him right in the face and just pummels him, right? This guy, the security officer, he's in, I don't think he made it to the ICU, but he wasn't in the best of conditions, right? My suggestion, guys, if you have to, well, first off, if you have to approach a large group, always call backup. If you can't call backup from another security agent, then call law enforcement. They have all kinds of backup in the world. Also, don't get into people's space. You violate the golden rule well, one of the golden rules, which is getting in someone's personal space, you're gonna get somebody that's gonna get agitated. I kept watching the video over and over again, and what this guard did in the alley is he got into this person's space, and then he started doing the pointing thing. Give people space. If you can make contact with people, like verbal contact, from another side of the fence or some type of physical barrier, that's probably better. But in many cases, there's no reason to leave your position of cover, leave your position of safety, and approach these people. I assure you, when you're approaching these people who are already agitated, their goal is to save face, right? So they may be perceived by their peers, by other people in the street, as being like brave, right? Being macho, kind of being the gang leader, right? And then you're over there challenging that person's character. It's not going to go well for you guys. That person has an image. I mean, if you have to talk to somebody that's a transient, that's high on drugs, well, if they're high on drugs, they might have clouded judgment. So a lot of times, discussing the issue might not lead to a favorable outcome. But let's just say everybody is able to have a clearer mind. What's to say you can't say, hey, hey, can I talk to you privately? There's some information I want to share with just you right now. And I think that at the end of the day, you might be a little bit grateful that we have this private conversation. I don't know what you guys say. I usually say something to that extent, or I'll say this. Hey, is there any way that I can get your side of the story with nobody else involved? And sometimes that person will say yes. On another note, sometimes they may not want to do that because they may think that other people might be thinking that you're snitching on them, right? I mean, let's face it, a lot of times these people out there in the streets think that security communicate with police all the time, and you are the snitch. I mean, sometimes there's some validity to do that. You guys get a handle of the situation, get a feel of the situation, and see what you think works for you. But what I see and what doesn't work is you're approaching these large groups, you're getting into their space, and you're trying to enforce a rule. And with this guy I'm talking about, he's trying to enforce rules like off the property. It's not going to work. It's not going to work in your favor. Okay. These situations where I have discussions with other members of the security profession, they mentioned that these guys are unarmed. I don't know. Maybe that might be a good thing that they're unarmed. You're armed. That doesn't grant you excellent communication abilities, communication skills. So now what you basically have, if you have a group of 5, and you're in that group, right? So that makes you 6. So there's 6 people. There's always going to be one with a gun. We'll just say this. Every contact that you make with any individual group, they're always armed. And what I'm referring to is they have your gun. You just don't realize it yet. Like they're going to snatch that gun out of your holster, and now they're going to be the armed person, and you're going to be the unarmed. If you're in security management, supervision, giving an armed guard a gun does not make them a better communicator. It doesn't make them a better security officer by giving them a gun. It doesn't make them more effective. What makes them more effective is what happens up here. I did a YouTube short video that's subject to controversy. It has like the most negative likes. I basically said that unarmed security guards are a lot safer than armed, and I actually I'm gonna have, like, one of these days I'm gonna need to retract that statement. If not retract, I need to clarify what I meant, because I actually take some of that statement back. What I wanted to say is that just because you're armed security, that does not grant you the skills and abilities that you need to do your job. It doesn't grant you excellent communication skills. That's what I wanted to say, but it's kind of hard to say these things um, on a YouTube short video where you optimize your audience with like 9 seconds. Like you could get more of a reach the shorter the video. Just depends on what type of YouTube short video you have. So that's really all I got, guys. Stop doing too much. Hopefully the security guard I'm talking about is going to recover. There's been a couple of security guards. Hopefully they're going to recover. But honestly, I mean, what's the financial benefit to something like this? In California, you can get workers' compensation insurance at, I think, 70%. So I think the unemployment gives you like 70% for like temporary disability. So let's just say that you're getting minimum wage already as a security officer, and then now you're getting 70%. Is that going to help you pay the bills? And then if you have a second, third, or fourth job, how are you going to work those other jobs? Now, I know with some private insurance, private workers' compensation carriers, they are going to investigate you, possibly criminally, if you're over there working a third job and a fourth job, a second job in private security, if you're claiming disability from one. So now your income gets severely diminished, all because you wanted to do something extra that wasn't even in your post orders. Jeez, when are we going to learn? There's something called victim blaming, victim shaming. It's something you're not supposed to do in, I guess, security and law enforcement. But in today's video, you as a private security officer, you have a lot of input on the potential output of individuals that want to do harm to you. You really do. The more creative, the more helpful you get, it just increases your chances of getting hurt, guys. Man, these videos I've seen are just too brutal, and they're really sad. Like, I watch these videos and I get angry. Like, I want to just be there and help. And then I just, like, rub my head and just think, like, why did you even proceed with this issue? Why did you get so close to this person? All right, let me go through the comments. Mike from the Professional Security Journals here. Garlady's here to get great information from the best. Thank you. Doug is here. Welcome, Doug. Garlady says, "What's up, Mike?" Mike says, "We just had 2 transit officers get ambushed on duty my last work week." Oh, man. Panic button was depressed. Hopefully they're doing okay. Disparity of numbers. No, it's in fact a really good escalation tool. Professional Security Journal says ATM is the exact methodology Intercon operates on within biggest transit. We must call the vehicle rover the lead officer for the make portion. Mike is a stickler for acronyms, but I got to research some of the acronyms. I think ATM stands for ask, tell, and then make. Hey, Hawkeye's here. Welcome, sir. Mario says security companies tell their guards to use verbal escalation, but fail to actually give them training on how to do so. Oh. All right. We're going to talk about that. Welcome, Mario. The Professional Security Journal says, because no company is going to send their guards to the Force Science Institute or some other proven quality brand. Okay, we'll talk about that. Jack Spade is here. He says, hey, buddy. Hey, Jack Spade. All right. So, that's something I forgot to mention, Mario. Excuse me. So, I agree with Mario 100% that security companies often tell their guard force to de-escalate the situation, or you fail to de-escalate, so we're going to terminate you. In California, because of AB 229, Democrat named Christopher Holden, he authored 229, which included de-escalation. I have reviewed the Powers to Arrest manual as recent as 2 days ago, and the manual needs definitely some revisions. But on the de-escalation portion, I give, man, let me look. No, BSIS is not in the back. I give them props for developing the de-escalation chapter. It's a really good chapter. It is a really good chapter. But on the other note, BSIS, they didn't develop the chapter. You guys want to know who developed it? It was POST, the Peace Officer Standards and Training. POST was obligated by 229 state law to work in conjunction with BSIS, the Bureau of Security Investigative Services, the regulatory arm for security professionals in California, to develop the manual. And the de-escalation portion, again, it's spot on. I think employers rely too heavily on that training. So, hey, because you attended the Powers to Arrest, the appropriate use of force course, which is an 8-hour course now, because you attended that class, you know how to de-escalate situations, which is far from the truth. Far from the truth. Discussion, talk about de-escalation. That topic is it's a perishable skill. I mean, I think that one has to constantly be trained on the concepts, at least every year or 2 years, maybe some type of a refresher. Because I was reading some of the techniques. So what I did is I was writing the third edition for the Private Patrol Operator, one of my books that's available on Amazon. I'm updating the book, in my own de-escalation strategies, use of force concepts, and I'm looking through the Powers to Arrest manual to verify, because I've been talking to some test takers, and they've seen some content on the state exam for qualified managers in the guard card and manual. So I've been cross-referencing that book with what I have, and I've actually updated my book, which isn't out yet, to reflect what BSIS has mentioned and their suggestions, which again are really good suggestions. They didn't 100% mirror what I had. They provided a little bit more input. So I'm trying to make the best of publications out there, and I have since included the strategies that they suggest in my book. But that's really it. That's kind of like the limit of training. I think security companies, if they expect you to de-escalate situations more, they need to provide the training. They absolutely need to provide the training. Okay. Jack Spade says security companies don't train their guards and keep policies in gray so that they can throw it under the bus when you mess up or take credit when you do good. I agree. That's why some of these policies are so, like, they're so not confusing, but sometimes they're broad, but they're written in a way that leaves a lot of interpretation to be open. Unfortunately, the beneficiary of that interpretation is the security company management. All right, guys. Ambiguous. That's the word I'm looking for. So that's all I got. Looking forward to feedback from you guys on strategies on preventing attack. What do you guys do in these situations where you have a group of people and you have to have them leave? I mean, I would think you approach them and ask, right? You ask, maybe tell, right? I think when you get to the M of ATM, so ATM stands for ask, tell, and then make. I think when you get to the make portion of it, that becomes a dangerous zone for private security. And private security push the button for make. They press the make button, so to speak. But they don't have the physical capabilities of usually doing that when they're in groups. So maybe for security, AT, I don't know. Primary Security Agency is here. You guys missed the whole live stream. Jack Spade says, start handing out job applications and work boots, make them disperse quickly, right? Guys, I want to talk. So I'm finished with the discussion. Just some admin stuff. I know I have my website up, crimebullet.com, but please do not ask me how to get a guard card, how to get a firearms permit. Like, don't ask me for things that I don't offer. Like, legally, because I'm not attached to any training facility, I can't do the 2-day exposed firearm permit course. If I have my license, which is under 2059 TIF training instructor firearms, TIF number 2059, but I keep that current. But because I'm not attached to an actual training facility, I cannot certify anybody. There's a lot of questions like how to get a guard card, or I have questions in private security. I can't help you. I answer like 15 questions, 10 questions a day, and I can't devote the time. It ends up being like I can't respond to anybody because I don't want to give them a half-ass answer. So I end up not replying. So if I don't reply, nothing personal, it just, I don't have the resources to answer some of your questions that you have. Unfortunately, sometimes people think that I'm the BSIS, the Bureau of Security Investigative Services. They have to wait 2 hours on the phone to get an answer. They don't want to wait. So they call me, they text me, they send me emails. I can't. If your questions has anything to do around anything else that's not open source information, then feel free to ask. All right, guys. So I am out of here. Take care. Be safe.